You know, 80s actions movies have provided us with a fuck ton of content throughout the years. You got Terminator, you got Predator, hell, even the horror movies, the slashers from the 80s have provided us with mad gaming content throughout the years. You got these franchises that were created before our times being carried into our times and lasting throughout different forms of media. Specifically video games. Now, unlike a Terminator or a Predator, one franchise that we don't talk about enough or hasn't been explored through other forms of media enough is Robocop. One of the most popular and beloved movies of all time. Anyone who's a fan of action movies from the 80s loves Robocop. Now, after Robocop 3, a failed TV series, and a few arcade games here and there, the franchise was kind of somewhat abandoned. I mean, yeah, it got a reboot in like, what, 2012, 2011, and it got like a mobile game after that, but other than that, compared to like a Terminator, or a Jason, or a Freddy, that 80s franchise hasn't really got enough recognition, especially in gaming. Up until now. Your boy Robocop finally got himself a video game, a proper video game, on a console. You see, Robocop Rogue City was actually announced a year ago. The PlayStation released a gameplay trailer on its YouTube channel. And when I saw it, I was excited. But throughout time, I forgot about it because after the trailer, they kept it quiet. You didn't hear about any updates or rumors throughout YouTube. You didn't hear shit throughout trailers. It was like that one trailer dropped and everybody forgot about it. And then like 6 or 7 months later, boom, mad trailers left and right. Everybody's talking about it. Robocop Rogue City next up. And after a year of being announced, Robocop Rogue City was finally released for consoles on November 2nd, 2023. Now, I'm a little late to the party because even though it released 3 weeks ago, I bought it last week. And I've played nothing but Rogue City the entire time. Now, I already love Robocop as a franchise, but this game just adds so much more to it. Like, you can tell the developers took their time with this shit. Well, I mean, with the exception of a couple things, but we're gonna get into that later on. Everything about this game just screams Robocop. Specifically 1 and 2, the first 2 movies only. Now, this game is actually set in between Robocop 1 and 2. They follow up the story of the first one, and they also explain a few things that happened in the second one while also telling their own story. They kept it original, but also kept it attached. The game opens up through a broadcast. You have an announcer announcing the news, saying what's going on in Detroit, crime, whatever. Bro starts talking about a new drug in town, but he gets interrupted by a gang leader for Detroit City's newest gang, the Torchheads. Him and the Torchheads hijack the entire news station to get the attention of the new potential crime lord in the city. He explains that they manufacture a new drug called Nuke, while also listing off the crimes that him and the Torchhead commits. Now, right off the bat, this is a really good intro because it already introduces you to a new potential threat, along with an even bigger threat, hints a reference for a future event in Robocop 2, while also setting the tone for the game. Shit can go left at any second, so be prepared. That's how you do an intro. Now, this is where Robocop comes in. Murphy pulls up to the scene, clean as hell, looking to stop the hostage situation going on at the news broadcasting center. Now, shit's bad. There's wounded individuals, there's people inside that need to be saved, and the police can't really do anything because if they send anyone in, they're all gonna die. So, Robocop instead goes through, while Lewis, his partner, finds a way through the back. Robocop walks through the front door, encounters the Torchheads, guns get pulled, one-liners start flying, and right off the bat, the gameplay starts. Now, what I love about this whole segment, the cutscenes, the intro cutscene, and the shooting aside, is the whole sequence itself reminded me of a scene from the first Robocop movie. Like Robocop, he comes in, he's like, drop it, scum. And then the whole shootout breaks in. He's scanning fools with his little Robocop senses and he's blasting them one by one. It reminded me of the scene, and I can't show it because, you know, copyright, where in the first movie where he found out where Clarence and the rest of his gang was hiding after he became Robocop, and he went to stop them, and it was like this big drug bust, and he kicked down the doors, and he was like, come quietly or there'll be trouble. and he had the Robocop theme playing in the back while he was blasting thugs. That's how this first mission feels. He comes through, drops his one-liner, the torch heads don't listen, he gets to blasting, all the while the original Robocop theme is playing in the background. Like, I ain't mean to nerd out, but this mission and the game itself does a good job at making you feel like the Robocop. Now, here's where shit gets tricky for like the rest of the game. He gets to the office where all the news anchors are being held, and one of the torch heads, he has one of the news anchors held hostage. And he's threatening to kill her if Robocop doesn't leave, and bro starts hallucinating about his wife. Like the news anchor that the guy is holding hostage, when Robocop looks at her, he sees his wife. And because of that, he freezes. Now, Lewis swoops in and saves the lady before she dies by killing the torch head, but all of this is caught on camera. And to the rest of the city looking at it, it seems as if Robocop malfunctioned in the middle of a crime bust. This scene right here lingers throughout the entire game, not just because of what happened, but because of the effects after, you know, the outcomes. Throughout the game, it's brought into question on whether or not Robocop can be trusted to keep the city safe. And on a more personal level, that's not the last time he hallucinates about one of his family members or his past. Everything you can expect in this game, they show you in the first mission. Now, that's the first mission of Robocop. I don't want to go even more into the story because this game is freshly out, so I don't want to spoil anything. So if you feel like playing the game yourself, I would say do it. I am going to spoil one thing though. There is one mission in this game that I'm going to dive deep into, but we're going to save that for a minute. Let's get into the gameplay of Robocop. Now, Robocop Rogue City is your typical first-person shooter, but it's a Robocop first-person shooter, so there are slight differences. Number one, your primary weapon is your handgun. It's not no assault rifle or shotgun like other first persons. It's the 3-round burst Robocop handgun. And the fun thing about it is, just like the movie, there's no recoil on the handgun, like whatsoever. It's legit 100% accurate. Now, there's slight auto assist, but the main assist you get is the Robocop scanners. Unlike the movie, when you scan an enemy, you don't automatically zip to him and take him out, but in this one, it helps with pointing out enemies in like dark areas, enemies in high places, and it does kind of add a little aim assist. The weapons outside of the pistol that you use are shotguns, SMGs, assault rifles, but they're not necessarily ones that you bring along with you. They're guns that you pick up off dead thugs. Now, handgun ammo is infinite. You reload, but you never have to worry about running out of ammo. The guns that you pick up from the enemies, those are limited clips. They give you a full magazine with 2 or 3 extras depending on your upgrades. And the shooting's solid. Whether it's shotguns, assault rifles, LMGs, sniper rifles. There's no bullet delays, there's no faulty reload mechanics. The accuracy is good as hell, not as good as the handgun, but it's good as fuck compared to other first persons. The controls don't feel clunky whatsoever. This game is great when it comes to the shooting aspects and other gameplay features. Now, as I said, the sensors don't really do what they did in the movies. Like, you can't scan somebody and then shoot them while you're not looking, but they do help. And to make matters even better, there are upgrades. You know, upgrades that you can use for Robocop in the skill section in the menu. But these upgrades, as you unlock different tiers, they give you different abilities. You get a dash ability, you get a slight invulnerability ability, you get a shockwave ability that allows you to blind your nearby opponents and somewhat kill them if you get to a high enough tier. The game even pulls some Max Payne shit. There's ability for you to slow down time so it's easier for you to shoot your targets while also avoiding bullets. And the more upgrades you give to these abilities, the more they get stronger. Now, going back to the weapons you get throughout the game depends on the level you're on. Like, the first mission is mainly just like Uzis and a couple AK-47s, but depending on missions later on, you deal with shotguns, other assault rifles, LMGs, snipers, rocket launchers, grenade launchers. I think out of all of them, the most useless is the 9mm handgun, only because it's nowhere near as strong as the Robocop gun. It has less ammunition, it's not as accurate as the others, so I wouldn't suggest it, but this game has a variety of weapons you can use. and different abilities. You can grab opponents with like super strength and fucking chuck them across the street or across the room. You can pick up objects like computers or tables or motorcycles and throw them at others. You can't pick up cars because, you know, he's Robocop, not the Hulk, but still, bro got muscle. And you know how in Call of Duty there's a knifing ability? Well, there used to be a knifing ability, and this one is the Robocop punch ability, where instead of knifing your opponent in, I don't know, other first-person shooters, you just punch them hard as hell and kill them on impact. It's really fucking cool. Now, as the game progresses, the enemies get harder and harder to kill, but that's where the variety of weapons come in. The gameplay and the story go hand in hand, man. Like, I love it just as much as I do the story mode. And the story mode is fun as fuck. Now, gameplay aside, I want to get to that mission I was telling y'all about earlier. Now, this is a huge, heavy spoiler. So if you plan on playing the game later, or, I don't know, whatever the fuck, skip this one and just move along 2 minutes later. So, this game, rather than focusing on the action, and it focuses on it heavy, it also decided to focus on the emotions of Robocop. They really delve into the tragedy of this character. Like, throughout the game, he has a tendency of hallucinating about his wife and son. Like, there's times where he's by himself and he hears his son calling out to him, or he's replaying memories of his past. And you don't really see it as much, it's more so like voices and slight illustrations for like a brief few seconds. But there's a mission in this game called Ghost from the Past, and the entire mission, well, a good 80% of it is nothing but that. Bro's tweaking, he's hallucinating about his family. He's damn near going crazy, and the mission really delves into the insecurities of Alex Murphy. He's chasing the main villain across some parking lot, and he ends up getting hit by a car, and that car causes some sort of glitch in his mainframe or whatever, and all of a sudden, bro just starts going mad. He's following the voices of his wife and son. He starts hallucinating about his partner getting killed. The closer you get to his son's voice while he's calling to him, the more afraid he gets, as if he's seeing him but you can't see him. He's screaming at you to get away from him and that you're not his father and that you're some sort of monster. His wife is doing the same, guilt tripping him, making him feel like he abandoned his family for dying and becoming Robocop. Mind you, none of this really happened in real life, but that's his mind playing with him. All of his guilt and his insecurities and his fear were all poured into this mission. There is a scene in this game where he's hallucinating about his wife and his anniversary, and about how, I guess in the past they took a trip to the mall or whatever, and an announcer in the mall that he was in, the mall's abandoned now by the way, but the announcer of the mall that he's in is basically, it goes from advertising some sort of ring, which probably happened in the past due to his memory, to then kicking in his insecurity by making fun of him and mocking him for getting killed.
Special offers at Juneberry Mall. Now a free gift for engaged couples. Goldfinch Jewelry has a discount on wedding rings. Choose something special. It's a symbol of your love and something for her to remember you by after you decided to get yourself killed and leave your family all alone, Alex Murphy. Don't hesitate. Come and take advantage of our offer.
Bro gets to the rooftop of the building and he hallucinates his chief and the entire police force rallying against him, saying that he's not one of them and that he's just trying to replace him and that he's not the real Alex Murphy, and they all like open fire on him in an attempt to kill him. As he's going through the hallways trying to figure out which door is the right one, he hears his wife, his son, his chief, his partner Lewis all saying the same shit, like, oh, he thinks he's one of us, he thinks he's a person, he thinks he's a human being. And as I said before, none of this is real. This is just him hallucinating heavy. Like, this mission does a really good job of going into the mindset of Robocop. He questions whether or not he's actually Alex Murphy or just some machine who took his identity. And that's another thing, he also hallucinates about himself, Alex Murphy. He hallucinates that the ghost of Alex Murphy came back and basically told him, hey, you're not me, you took my identity, and because of that, you won't let my soul or my family rest, you're not me. It's bad, bro. Now, eventually he comes to his senses by like the end of the mission, but between the hints throughout the beginning and that entire mission as a whole, this game did such a great job at exposing the mindset of Robocop. You know, when you think of Robocop, you tend to think of the action and the shooting and the whatever the fuck, but you kind of tend to ignore the tragedy of the character. And the game did a really good job at bringing that out. Now, all that sad, sappy shit aside, there's moments like that all throughout the game, right? But I'm gonna let you find that out for yourself. Go play that game. I'm telling you, play it. But all that aside, this game was so solid. The story was great. The gameplay was great. All of it was great, right? But now I have to kind of get into the issues I have with it. The biggest issue I have is the frame rate issue. I noticed this off the very first mission. I don't know if the frames aren't matching the speed of the game, but something's wrong. They should have taken at least a month or two before they dropped this, because there's times where the cutscene would happen and the person's face doesn't fully resonate for a good second. Or there's times where, like, I don't know, an object in the background, like a car or another police officer, doesn't resonate until a good couple seconds in. Or there's times where you see someone talking in a cutscene and the words don't match their lips. I don't think they focus too much on the frame rate, which is cool because you can tell that they put more focus on the action and the actual gameplay, which turned out great. But sometimes, you know, the frame, it throws me off. As you play throughout the game and you start getting invested into the story, you don't really notice it as much. Like, you kind of forget about it, but it's probably going to be one of the first things you notice when you play the game. Another issue I have with this game, the main villain. This is another heavy spoiler. So the villain, allegedly, is the brother of one of Robocop's murderers from the first movie. Now, you would think that this is opening up some sort of revenge plot, like he's here to avenge the death of his brother by killing Robocop. And he hints at that in the beginning, but that's not actually why he's there. And that's where my issue kicks in, because they don't necessarily specify why he's there. I don't understand this guy's motive at all. And he's explained it a couple of times. He said, hey, this is who I am. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm here for. But I'm still not getting it, because at times it switches here and there. 1 minute, he's the guy's brother. Next minute, he's working for OCP. The next minute, he's trying to help Robocop become Alex Murphy. I don't know. It's just a whole bunch of shit. I feel like they should have given him one story, have him stick with that, and then boom, have that be the ending of the game. But other than that, I mean, I still liked it. He provided a pretty fun experience to the game. You know, his confusing attitude, you not knowing whether or not he's gonna blow up or kill someone. I don't know. I like the mysteriousness of his character. I just think they should have did something more. Now, another thing before I go that I loved was the final boss. I'm not gonna get too much into it. Fuck it, yes I am. I'm spoiling the fuck out of the last mission. It's so much fucking fun. So, spoiler alert, the last mission is a boss fight between Robocop and the Kane robot from Robocop 2. But it's not Kane in it, it's the old man. I'm not gonna explain that shit, play the game yourself. But the last mission was so much fun. You're battling this robot at the very top of OCP headquarters, and y'all are breaking fucking walls down in offices. He's blowing up the floor, and you guys are fucking falling through different floors, from floor 12 to floor 10. You fucking shoot him. Well, you don't shoot him, but he charges at you out the elevator, and y'all fucking fall over 100 stories down into the garage, and then it turns into a boss fight down there. You gotta figure out different ways for you to kill it, because you can't fight it head on. It will kill you. You have to get distance from it and shoot it from either behind or the side or its weak spot. You're fucking low as shit on ammo and on health packs, so you gotta figure out different ways to kill it without getting too near it. You know what I'm saying? You have to strategize, and I fucking love that in video games, and I love that they put that in this one. Not just because you got to play against the robot in Robocop 2, but also you have to figure out different ways to beat it like he did in the movie. This game was so much fun. There's so many choices you can make. There's so many different types of dialogues. There's times where you can free roam around the city. Not necessarily free roam, but roam around the city while doing an active investigation and do side missions. The city of Detroit, or the block that you have to patrol most of the time, looks great. There's different things you can do, like writing up citations for a parking ticket or stopping a drug bust at an arcade. Or even just doing some small shit, like helping some kid out in the middle of a park while he's dealing with a crisis due to his father being dead. There's so much immersiveness into this world. Each character you interact with, whether it's in the missions itself or just Detroit City, it's all so immersive. They all have their own stories and their different problems, and you of Robocop get to solve them. You can do it through day, you do it through night. There's different types of things you can do, like solve murders or robberies, car thefts. And all these side missions, the cool thing about that is, in a way, it goes into the end of the game. Everything you do in this game tallies up one way or another, and it comes back to hit you at the end. I wish there was more for you to do after you beat the game. Like, there's no survival mode or any other things you can do. You can't free roam. It's like, hey, once you beat the game, that's it. But for the most part, this game was amazing. I fucking loved it. I'm really hoping that they make a sequel or add some sort of expansion or something, but this game was gold. Maybe I'm a little biased because I loved Robocop as a kid, and I still kind of do, but this game was beautiful, and I highly suggest you play it. But that's all I got for y'all for this episode of Reggie TV. A good part of this fucking video was me just nerding out about Robocop or me rambling, but I really did love this game. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys' feedback on the ones who played the game or ones who plan on playing it, but I really suggest you do. But as I said, that's all I got. I'll see y'all on the next one, and I'm out.